It's another edition of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast with Jonathan Howe, Travis Cunningham. This is episode 52, brought to you by our partners, Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. And a huge shout out to Vansickle Pet Valu and PV on the lane. Be sure to grab your race tickets for Merrittville Speedway ahead of time. Even special event passes like you needed for on Monday night's show, you could grab ahead of time at each location. So shout out to them. And with that said, Travis, it is episode 52. You got a 52 for me? Do you want me
There's
to go
so many.
first?
Give her because there's lots.
All right, I didn't. I feel like there's some obvious numbers that we could pick and stuff, so I went really off the board. Rick Van Cleef.
What?
Yeah, he
Sorry, Rick.
ran a 52 at Ohsweken last year.
Whoa, that was way off the board because you could have went Jesse Costa. You could have went Ryan Hunsinger. He owns the car, but Matt Billings, that crate car.
Yep.
You could have went Stan Friesen.
Mm-hmm.
Niagara legend. That's why Stewie runs 52 in the trucks as well. And that's also James always ran 52. Stewie would run 10. James ran 52. Kurtman runs 68. That's always the way it's been. Alex would run 68. I think the brothers ran 68. But yeah, James always been 52 after his grandpa Stan. There's more. I said Costa. I said Hunsinger. There's more. No, I'm missing one.
Who are you missing?
I think I said them all. The Friesens. Costa, Hunsinger.
I think he got them all. I can't.
Scott Kruder.
Okay,
when Scott Kruder runs his own car, he's 52 as well.
Yeah. No, I wanted to go super. When I saw Rick ran a 52 for 3 races last year in the mini stocks, I was like, yeah, no, we're picking that. We're taking that. That's a really obscure one. And I believe Rick is still running that number. I think I've already called a race with a 52 Van Cleef entry. Can't remember 100% sure, though. With all that said, where should we start? Probably with Friday night's action from Ohsweken Speedway, as you guys finally got to open up your season after a long off season. And I guess start with your night, because you pretty impressive, 17th to 9th.
Yeah. So first off, I want to start by saying, because last week we were talking about trying to beat the rain. We thinking it was going to rain all weekend. Saturday it did. We lost Brighton. That sucked. But they're going to move the Paul Picone Memorial to June 10th, so no big deal there. But yeah, Friday, we beat the rain, just like I hoped. Show went, I wouldn't say it went quick, but they got it done. And yeah, there's just so many cars in the pits. I saw Clint talk about that on his show 2 nights ago. Just 150 cars there is, man, no matter what you do, a lot of the heat, at least 2 classes had 4 heats, I think. So that just takes a lot of time. He talks next year, maybe moving the start time up to 7. So that sounds probably a good idea with the amount of cars we get up there. But then, yeah, beat the rain, lots of cars, got her in. And then my race, yeah, 17th to 9th. The track, definitely still not perfect, that's for sure. And I know they'll work on it and stuff like that. But first in the night, hot laps, it was perfect. Super fun hot laps, hammer down, wide open. Just like the old times there. It was pretty cool. And then the heat race was starting to get a little more choppy, or I sucked in my heat. Ended up 6th, I think. And yeah, the feature, I just decided I was just going to try to stay out of trouble and just roll around, try to miss the bumps as much as possible, and hopefully pass a few cars that didn't miss the bumps. And that's what happened.
Yeah, basically. There was definitely some carnage by the end of the night for you guys with the track conditions and some drivers, shearing off wheels and stuff, which can be, I guess, a variety of things, really. Who was it was it Van Every that had the issue, and he told Clinton on the G-Force broadcast that
was Sean Evans.
Sean Evans. Yeah, said he didn't tighten the wheel. He was or he said, I tightened that one myself, so I have nobody to blame but me for it coming loose. But yeah, from my vantage point on the couch,
it was a pretty clean night, though. The mini stocks went long, but the other 3 races were actually pretty clean, other than Rob Neely getting upside down on the very last lap of the crates.
Yeah,
other than that, I think there was just a couple spin outs for them. Yeah, he went for a tumble in the 360. It's just he just hit one of the ruts a little wrong, and that's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, from my vantage point, it was very good racing. I got to compliment the G-Force broadcast crew, because they, I don't know if it was just my internet is better or what, but it sure seemed like they stepped up the cameras this year at Ohsweken. broadcast was super crystal clear. It was really cool to see for a YouTube, local dirt track show. It was pretty well done, I gotta say. For what I noticed though, I thought the racing was pretty good. I mean, typical cast of characters. Dylan Westbrook pretty much had that 360 win in the
Yeah,
bag
that was
until
crazy.
had a little bit of an issue coming off one of the corners with a couple
Broke a
laps to
right
go.
front torsion bar. Like,
Yeah,
torsion bar itself broke in half.
yeah. It was. I was crazy. I was like, I can't believe he finished like that because it's got to be really hard to get around for another couple laps like that. No.
Yeah, especially because we just had a restart right then too, I think, right?
Hmm. That was
He
the other
says
thing
it
I
was
wanted to ask
broke
you
from like
about.
lap 15, but like, man, if it was, he was doing a real good job of hiding it because like
Yeah.
it seemed pretty. I don't know. Yeah, Ryan Turner sneaks one in though.
Yep.
My
Yeah,
pick.
Turner gets it done. I wanted to ask you though about those restarts because this is the first time we had the choose rule for the entire field and double file restarts. So, from your vantage point as a driver, how did that change things for you?
I don't know. I definitely like the double file because then you're just not like if there's an early caution, you're not uh 10 miles back. So double, and I did it all in the ESS races and it all worked out well up there. So I'm not definitely not opposed to double file, but the choose rule, I'm on the fence about that one. I think it's just going to end up to the point where I think the first one did not go well. Like we ended up 3 wide in the middle of 1 and 2, and then like someone I think was trying to go back on what they chose or something. Anyway, the first one did not go well, that's for sure. But then the next two went well, and for the most part, it looked like everyone just picked where they were supposed to be. I think one line maybe crisscrossed the ones, but
Yeah.
I think for the most part, it's going to end up just being people going where they want
Yeah, that's
or going
fair.
where they were.
I mean, it
Especially
really
because
depends on the
Ohsweken's so
track,
wide.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, because like the
That,
choose rule was invented, I think, at Bowman Gray, right, where everybody goes to the bottom, and then
mhm.
that one guy in 6 takes the flyer up to the outside pole. That's like where the choose, like that's the origin of the choose cone. I'm pretty sure. So like I just think on dirt tracks where there's so much room, we're not like most of us. It's always going to be where we go. I watched the high limits and same thing. Every restart, they all just went where they were supposed to be.
Mhm.
I think that's what it's generally going to be, unless it's
Yeah.
super one lane, which
Yeah, which we don't see a
doesn't
lot of,
happen on dirt.
especially at Ohsweken. So,
Yeah.
we'll see how that we'll keep an eye on it, see how that progresses through the
But I
year.
definitely like double file because
Yeah.
I like heat single file. That's perfect. Heat single file. But then for the feature, like I say, when you get that early caution and you're 24th and the leader's on the front straightaway and you're coming at it too,
Hmm.
that ain't ideal. So this definitely, like the double file restarts would definitely help me. That's where I got a couple. I definitely made some of my passes there. So
Hmm. Yeah, so Ryan Turner ends up winning that 360 sprint feature finish on the debut night. Josh Hansen brings it home second. Westbrook was able to hang on and stay on the podium in third. Corey Turner fourth. And our guest on the show coming off a top 5 in his rookie debut in the 360. I don't know if it was technically his
first,
debut.
that was. I'm pretty sure
Was
that
that
was his first
first time as
360
ever in a
race.
360, eh? Oh, wow.
He got
Okay,
lots of
well,
practice, and I think he hit every test session. That's what you do. And
yeah.
that's why we got him on.
Well, he had a heck of a drive too, starting 13th and moved up to 5th position. Eric Gledhill is going to join us later in the show. Also, got to give a shout out to some of our other winners. Ken Schrader was up this weekend racing north of the border, and he wins the UMP versus Canadian Modified Challenge.
Whole 4 fingers.
Yep, I got it done over Tim Richardson, Glenn Stiers, Steve Rex, and Mario Toniolo. I'm going to say that wrong. Toniolo. I'm going to say Toniolo is how I'm going to guess on that one for the
Boy,
pronunciation.
you.
Should I? You know what? That's an Italian name too. I should know that
Yeah,
one, but
Tuffy.
yeah,
Oh,
look
you
at
should
this.
know that one?
Yeah, I'm half Italian, so
Oh, yeah, right.
I just didn't speak enough of it when my
Shout
grandparents
out
didn't
to
speak enough
Glenn
at me. So
on the good run in the UMP.
yeah, he was really impressive. He held it wide open. At one point, he biked it, and I thought he was going to flip the UMP. It did a good job hanging on and ended up P3. In the sprint cars, the crate sprints, I should say, Austin Rose gets the win. Steve Murdoch, one of my draft picks, ends up P2. Mac DeMann, Brett Stratford, and Dale Curran round out your top 5 there. I will update the points throughout the year, weekly. But we're going to have to make an adjustment because one of the guys I drafted is not in the class that I thought he was this year. So that's an
And we
error.
totally forgot about McTominay and Dylan Westbrook. Bunch of dummies. That's because
I
we were
know.
using last year's points because we were dumb and couldn't find the roster.
Okay, so to be fair, I was actually looking at Mac DeMann, and then I
I forgot he moved to the crates. He just was so
I
360 in my head.
I went back and
I still
forth,
like
and I
my
was
picks.
like, yeah. I went back and forth on him. I was like, Mac Demand in a crate. That's a pretty good pick. But I picked Steve Murdoch, and he ended up P2. So
Yep.
I don't feel so bad about that.
I want to give sorry to Rob Neely because I probably caused his bad luck, but he's going to get it all fixed up. So
Yeah, there you go. Jeremy
that was
Hughes,
my
one of the guys
jinx.
I picked for the
Yep.
mini stocks, actually in crate sprints now. I didn't get confirmation if he's running the full season in that 11
Who
project, but
I think
I
there's
don't.
going to be multiple drivers in that thing because I talked to Jamie when I went to pick up fuel last week, and he said he's going to
Yes.
let a bunch of people do it. Yeah, Jamie owns that car, Jamie Turner.
Yep. That's what I thought I heard on the broadcast, that it was going to be a kind of mixed field for the 11 car, mixed bag of drivers that we see overall. Uh, Also should mention the Thunderstocks. Kyle Wirt with a big win over Ryan Dinning, Dave Bailey, Christopher Hale, and Donnie Lampman. I got to give a shout out to Donnie Lampman. He has been super consistent to start the year, which has been nice to see. And then Hale and Bailey, obviously not a surprise to see in the top five. Ryan Dinning, good to see him back at it. But Kyle Wirt, I definitely did not have Kyle Wirt as a winner this early in the Thunderstocks.
Oh, see, he's one of the guys I kind of thought of picking in the Thunderstocks too. Like I definitely
Really,
had a
eh?
look at him because he won one last year. I know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, where Hale finished, shout out to him because he bought 5 stickers off me.
He ended
5 for
up
20. He was
P4.
top. Yeah, so he is
Yep.
a tall dude. Like he
Is he?
towered over me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is
Yep.
crazy because you're a tall dude.
Yeah. I wouldn't say tower, but yeah, I was looking up at him for sure.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, shout out to anybody else who bought stickers. I gotta give a shout out to my pal Ryan Culligan, who came by at Merrittville and bought some stickers off me, and Stephen Petty. He actually bought my last
Steven.
sticker, so we appreciate Steve showing up and showing out on Monday night and picking up a sticker and representing the show south of the border, wherever he takes his. I think he said he's gonna put it on his laptop, so that'd be kind of cool. Other tracks are gonna see that
Yep.
in the States. Let's finish up Ohsweken with the mini stocks. Your guy, Dusty DeBoer, ends up winning it over Tristan De Silva, Mike Sarantacos, Wade Thorne, and Fabio Oliveri. So,
Crazy finish in
Fabio,
that
another
one
one.
that didn't involve anyone that you just mentioned.
I know, right? I was shocked when I saw Clinton Barrick absolutely send it into corner one, trying to make the move on Kyle Rothwell, who, what do you call Kyle? Like, head honcho of TMR,
The
which
GOAT.
Clinton works for. Yeah, goat of mini stocks right now. And those two tangle. Now, to be fair, it kind of looked like, at least from my angle, that Clinton tried to get it stopped, hit a rut or some kind of bump in the track. And probably when he hit that bump, the brakes just decided to not work as good as they would. And that's probably a big part of why he made as heavy as the contact was. Like that, he slammed him. Like that wasn't even
Yeah.
close to a, like, oh, I'm just gonna ease in and kind of bump you out of the way. Like that
I'm
was
thinking
a slam.
like, even if the bump wasn't there, he's probably going to get into him a little bit. But the bump
For sure.
just kind of like, so don't blame the track on that one.
No,
That's for
you
sure.
can't fully blame
He
the
sent
track at
her
all.
full Larry Enticer style in there.
Yeah, and it did not work out. Turns out 8 tires are not better than 4 in all cases, but
Not in that situation.
no. So we'll see how
That was
the
more like
TMR guys.
6.5 tires because he hit him like in the door and caught him sideways. You got to hit him
Right?
square to be able to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was some heavy contact. If you haven't seen it, you can go back and watch it on GeForce TV. Very entertaining stuff, I must say. That was the moment. That was the out loud moment that I had it. I was kind of screaming it off
Can't
my couch.
win.
I was like, "Oh my god, I
Be
can't believe that just
spectacular.
happened." Yes, exactly. If you're not gonna win, make sure you make the highlights, right? We should also touch on Merrittville Speedway. Saturday night got rained out. Brighton also got rained out on Saturday night, so that was tough. But Merrittville was able to get their big show in on the holiday Monday. You were in attendance. I was on the call. It was a blast, man. That was a really quality night of racing, and it all kind of got going with the big dog, Ryan Beagle, winning the 75 lap Peacemaker 420 race for the Hoosier Stocks. $2,500 richer for the big dog. And also, yes, Beagle's a contender on any given night, but the fact that he missed it early, had to come from the B Consi, and then drove up from 21st to 1st to win that one, That was as impressive a drive, I think, as we've maybe ever seen from Ryan Beagle.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to say so. He definitely had me standing up and not standing up, but hooting and hollering from the stands. Me and Mikey Krutchker were hooting for old Biggs. We love you, Bailey, but man, Biggs came from 21st. I think, did Bailey start on the hammer, I think?
Yeah, he was on the front row.
Yeah, so Biggs from 21st, I had Biggs that night. But I love you too, Bailey. I love you both. But
yeah, and they put on a good show. I just Bailey kind of ran out of, I don't want to say ran out of pace at the end, but Beagle was just so fast.
It's just hard when you're leading.
Yeah.
I'm sure he had. Yeah, didn't he say in Victory Lane like he saw him halfway across the track and then he didn't see him halfway, so he knew he was coming.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, and only I gotta also give a compliment to all the Hoosier Stock drivers. Only 3 cautions for a 75 lap race in that class. Pretty impressive, all things considered. One of those cautions was for former Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast guest Justin Ramsey, who had a motor expire while running third. He was pretty much second to Bailey the whole race, and at one point I think was actually eating into that lead just a little bit. And then I don't want to say it was a late restart, but I think there was a restart with maybe about 30 or 25 laps to go. And a Beagle got by Ramsey, and you could tell Ramsey's car just wasn't quite humming the way it was. And then the next thing you know, it was up in smoke. So tough for Justin Ramsey, but a good showing up until that point. So just wanted to point that out for one of our former guests. And also should say top 5.
Hey.
Got to round out the top 5. Pete Reed, Ron Logie, Jim Lampman rounded out the top 5.
Yep, I saw Ramsey looking for a crate motor this week, or just today, I think, on Facebook, and they're up to like $8,800 now. Oof. I can remember when they were like 35. Crazy.
Well, that we'll get to that because that's an interesting point. There's something I want to bring up with you, but we'll first go to the Rona Deutsch Mod Lights, which again, I feel like I have to advocate for Mod Lights to run later in the night because by the time the Mod Lights got on, they were the second to last, which doesn't happen often at Merrittville. So they had already had a 75 lap Hoosier Stock race and a late model race before the Mod Lights, and the track was just perfect for the Mod Lights. It was super fast, great racing. Brent Bigelow ends up taking a late one over Josh Slider. Josh Slider had a good battle for most of the race with RJ Pitts, and then took the lead, had the lead on a last, basically green white checker finish because Riley Slider spun coming to the white flag. So Josh had to try to hold off Brent, who ended up in second on the restart, and Josh Slider couldn't quite do it and had to settle for third. Rob Meisner slipped by as well, and Brent Bigelow now has 2 wins on the season to Josh Slider's 1 in the Mod Lights. But that was a great race. That was as good a Mod Light race as I've seen in a long time.
I was cheering for Josh Slider. He let me down. And I'm happy to see Brent in a Savage chassis now because I always ribbed Josh pretty hard last year about, hey, your hot shoe's the only guy not in one of your cars here. You might want to change that. And now they have anyone in one. So good job, Brent. And Josh.
Although he was going to run a different car to start the night and then had troubles during hot laps and then had to switch back to the old car. So
I think that
I don't know
was
if you caught
Savage.
that. It was still a Savage, yeah, but it was like a black car with red lettering instead of a red car with black lettering.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going to be a Slider Bigelow battle, but I don't think it's as wide a gap. If you get the right kind of night and the right kind of racetrack, Rob Meisner showed he can compete with them. Winger stayed with them pretty well.
Last lap move there, hitting the bottom in turn 4 and
nailed it.
Putting old 17 back to third. Joshy, come on, bud.
I like that you're giving him the gears. We should touch on the late models as well because we don't get to see a lot of late model racing at Merrittville. And after that particular show, I kind of wish we would see a little bit more. I'm not going to lie. But that might just be because we had Charlie Sandercock in the field because he ended up second, but he was the star of the show. He drove up from 6th, got basically within a couple feet of the lead, and then spun out with 10 laps to go in the race, drove all the way back from tail to second in 10 laps. Brian McDonald ended up winning the feature. He started third and brought it home first. Pretty good battle between he and Steve Baldwin early in the race as well. Baldwin sat on the pole, and those two went back and forth for a while until Sandercock entered the chat. And I mean, I have to say I was a little bit lukewarm on late models, based on my experiences watching them at Humberstone. But I feel like Merrittville actually works better for them because I feel like there's just a little bit more racing room, if that makes sense. A little bit more room for error with those cars, and it kind of works out to put on a better race, I thought, anyways.
Yeah, definitely a little wider at Merrittville and stuff like that. I think slick tracks definitely help a late model race, in my opinion, especially a crate late
True.
model race, because if you give them too much tech, everyone's fast, and then there's just fenders everywhere. But
Hmm.
man, what? Yeah, exactly. What a race! Same thing on you. Sometimes crate lates could not be my favorite class ever. I'll admit it. But Monday night they put on a hell of a race. Former sprint car and dirt modified guy Brian McDonald picks up the win. And yeah, Sander Cock was definitely the guy to watch after he spun out, after he stepped on it, and then drove her back to second.
The folks from Vansickle Pet Valu and PV on the Lane aren't just fans of your favorite four-legged friends, they are race fans too. That's why Jeff and Rhonda Riley, as well as their staff, have teamed up with Merrittville Speedway to make your race day experience more convenient. Race fans can now pick up tickets for race nights while grabbing the highest quality food, treats, toys, and accessories for their pets from the St. Catharines and Niagara Falls locations. Each grandstand ticket will also have a voucher that can be used in-store for a free pet bath at their dog wash stations. Drivers and crew members can also skip the line by purchasing pit passes in-store, giving them more time to get their rides ready for Saturday nights. Check out Vansickle Pet Valu across from Best Buy and Walmart on 4th Avenue in St. Catharines, and PV on the Lane at the corner of Kayla Road and Lundy's Lane, Highway 20. Yep. Yeah, and the last feature the night after the big fireworks show was, of course, the 358 modifieds, and Matt Williamson gets it done. He has won all of the 358 races so far this year, but the big difference on Monday night was he went out in a W16 with a W16 motor and with sail panels on the old number 6 and started third, ended up first, and put an absolute whooping on the field.
Yep, definitely did. Would have been nice or fun to see what happened if he redrew like 12th. Just would have took him longer to get to the front, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been saying in Victory Lane that the open motor and stuff, that combo has been keeping him back on slick tracks. And safe to say he's backed up his word because, yeah, lapped up to 5th. And definitely the Matt Williamson show. W16 and sail panels. Him and Bowman jumped ship. Two guys that said they never would, basically, and then now they have.
Yeah, and I thought Matt made an interesting point in Victory Lane about the class. He was actually somewhat complimentary to track owners Don Spees and everybody who kind of put in the decision to go to this W16 motor package because Matt's W16 actually a used motor he picked up about a week and a half ago for $8,000. So, I don't know what an open motor might cost or what kind of expense the motor package was in the 6 beforehand, but I can't imagine it was as cheap as $8,000, especially considering you just mentioned that crate engines are going for like 8.8.
Brand new, yeah. So there you go, great guys. If you can find one of them,
yeah, right. So,
brand new, there's still a
point.
lot, but
Yeah,
if you can find a used one like that, and Matt just proved you can win with one. So
yeah, that's used for sure. Also, Ryan Susi, who sat on pole, ended up second. Gary Lindbergh was third. Those two are definitely going to be battling for the title again, depending on how many races Matt ends up winning and how many he has to miss throughout the year, because those two, they're inseparable. They've been inseparable since last year with them tying in points in the 358 modifieds, and now this year it's picked back up right where they left off. Constantly trading seconds and thirds to Matt. Got to give a shout out to Dalton Slack, who brought it home fourth. Pretty impressive run for the youngster. And Ken Schrader, driving the Bicknell 42 car, ends up fifth.
Ken Schrader totally redeemed himself, to quote Dumb and Dumber. Last year he was horrible. He was making fun of the cars and stuff, calling them centers. I was making fun of them, but
yeah,
I've heard that maybe once or twice he might have made fun of how they drive, but yeah, it's a Silver Crown car with a body, and Ken, I'm pretty sure, is the Silver Crown champion back in the day. So yeah, he figured it out, and Dalton got to battle with him for quite a long time, so that looked fun from the stand. So I'm sure Dahl had a fun time doing that, and yeah, just not getting lap Monday was a good accomplishment.
Yeah, for sure. Because pretty much everybody but the top 5 got lapped, including Pete Bicknell, who went 16th to 6th. Talked to
Great
Pete
run.
today,
Still
and he
lap down
mentioned,
though. Yep.
yeah, well, he did mention to me that the draw is what's killing him, right? He hasn't been able
Yeah.
to perform enough in the heats, and he keeps ending up in the draws.
Should
So
be
we'll see how
handicapping this week, right?
handicaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be kicking in this week.
All right,
So we'll see
PB.
how the handicap affects that.
It's his week.
Eric Rudolph also came up and went 19th to 7th in an open motor package as well.
Draw bid him as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it was good racing. I know Williamson stunk up the show, but sometimes it's fun to just watch a blowout, right?
I love watching cars being so fast they murder everyone. Like, I'm old school NASCAR. I would rather watch 4 cars in the lead lap because they hit it and didn't have to do stinking stage cautions. I would rather that. I know I'm an alien, but for me personally, would rather that.
So then you enjoyed the All-Star race?
Yes, because I'm thinking they had pictures on the internet where it's like Larson's car from Sunday night or whatever that was, and it's like morphing into the Jeff Gordon T-Rex car.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh man, it makes you think if there was something going on there, but I'm sure just because that track is so worn out and stuff like that, and Larson's so used to feathering it on the dirt and just played right into his hands.
Did win the truck race the day before as well too. So
do you want to know? Yeah, but here's the thing. I made this joke to my mom. Do you want to know why they don't go to a 900 horsepower low downforce package in NASCAR?
Why is that?
Kyle Larson would win 20 races a season.
I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
I really think when it would come down to that much, having to save your tires and low grip, I really think he would just murder everybody.
I like that because they ran those rain tires at one point, and then the wet tires, I guess, or whatever, and they were a little bit softer, obviously, and had a tread to them. A lot of the drivers were like, yeah, no, these are like the kind of tires we need all the time because they actually wear out.
Mm-hmm.
So
careful what you wish for. I think Larson's going to kick all their butts if they get what they want.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it. He is kind of on a tear right now, although Byron's kind of right there with him. Missed it at Wilkesboro, but Byron's had a pretty good season too. Locally, it's been a good start to the season, even with all the rain and all the Mother Nature nonsense. The Super Dirt Car Series has been affected pretty heavily by rain and weather, but they've got a big Sunday, Monday show coming up for fans of Super Dirt Car Series in the big block modifieds. Weed Sport on Sunday, Heroes Remembered 100, and then on Monday it's the King of Spring at Lebanon Valley. So looking forward to those, hoping that, knock wood, both those shows actually get in, and hopefully Matt Williamson keeps up the good pace up there.
Yeah, they've only got 1 Super Dirt Car Series race in so far, and Matt won, and he's a point leader. That's crazy. That's insane that's the way it is right now. But yeah, pretty sure they're both going to get in this week, and Weed Sport's a good track for Matt. Lebanon Valley, hit or miss for him, so see how it goes. And they said they reconfigured Lebanon Valley, but I saw some videos, and it looks pretty much the same to me. Like maybe the infields move in a couple feet, but I don't know. Maybe they didn't get it done as much because I heard it was going to be way different, but it don't look much different.
Well, we'll find out. There's only one way to find out, and that's to get to the race day. So with all that said, I feel like it's time we bring our guest in here, keeping him waiting. Eric Gledhill going to join us on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Ohsweken Speedway, Southern Ontario's home for Friday night excitement. For over 25 years, Ohsweken Speedway has promoted and played host to sprint car racing with a new season of family-friendly events on the horizon and set to begin May 19th. Catch our own Travis Cunningham as he races weekly in the 360 division each Friday night in pursuit of a season-long championship. The Friday night lineups are rounded out by crate sprints, thunder stocks, and mini stock divisions as well. In addition to weekly racing, Ohsweken Speedway will also hold several marquee events for the Southern Ontario Sprints, the Action Sprint Tour in their West Series and National Series, as well as a visit from Canada's premier stock car series, the NASCAR Pinty Series, on August 14th and 15th for their only stop on dirt. Mark your calendars as the 3/8 mile dirt track located in Ohsweken, Ontario welcomes drivers from across the country and beyond for the 19th running of the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, which is scheduled for September 16th. To keep up to date with the latest news from the track, be sure to find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For track information on policies, admissions, directions, and more, be sure to visit ohswekenspeedway.ca. That's Ohsweken Speedway.ca. Ohsweken Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Bicknell Racing Products. The last 40 years plus have seen Bicknell Racing Products grow to be an industry leader for racers and enthusiasts alike. Their St. Catharines location is home to 20,000 square feet of manufacturing and retail space, with a second store in Niagara Falls, New York, and a dealer network that continues to grow day by day to serve Southern Ontario, Western New York, and beyond. Bicknell Racing Products distributes Hoosier tires for much of Eastern Canada, New York, and even parts of Pennsylvania. BRP has everything you could need to keep your car performing at its peak, with genuine parts from the manufacturer. They even have a technical support line committed to helping you with the most up-to-date information and feedback from racers and crew chiefs. Have you ever thought about a career in the automotive or racing industry? Now is your chance to take the leap with Bicknell Racing Products. They are looking for CNC machine operators, welders, and more to join their team this season. Please send all resumes to Dana Curving at BicknellRacingProducts.com. That's DANA CURVIN at BicknellRacingProducts.com. For further information on Bicknell Racing Products and to find a dealer near you, visit BRP online at www.BicknellRacingProducts.com or on Facebook or at twitter.com/BicknellRacing. Joining us now on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast, it is Eric Gledhill coming off a big top 5 performance at Ohsweken this past weekend. Eric, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on, and congrats on a great debut in the 360s. So I guess let's start from the very beginning, Eric. Just talk to us about how you got into racing and how you got your start with sprint cars, or what were you racing before sprint cars?
Well, back when I was a teenager, I ran micro sprints. We did that for 5 or 6 years, and then I took a 20-year hiatus from racing, and the bars, we were sponsoring the car, and they asked if I wanted to come practice. And I went out, jumped in it, and fell in love with it. So that's kind of where I got started in the sprint cars.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. You're one of my favorite type of interviews because I don't really know much about you at all. So tell us about how you got in sponsorship with the bars and all that, and just how they asked you to run it and stuff like that. Because 20-year gap between racing, that's a hell of a gap.
Yeah, Steve Barr, he drove a truck for us actually, and that's how we started sponsoring him. He was working for Oakwood Transport, and from there, he knew I used to race micro sprints against them back when I was a kid, and Greg Smolders, that's now driving for them, I raced against him way back in the day. So that's where it got started. And Steve approached me one day and asked, "Hey, do you want to come out and practice this thing? You still got your suit?" And so we went out, and it was awesome. So the first year I kind of ran, it was Hannah's backup car that I was running, and it was only supposed to be a couple nights, and it snowballed into 3/4 of a season, and it just kept going from there. So my wife wasn't very impressed though. When I got in the car, she was 6 months pregnant at the time, and she didn't think that was the smartest maneuver. But
that's fair. I think I could understand that from her side of things. But either way, you're still going now. So obviously the bug came back after 20 years, and you've enjoyed a pretty decent amount of success. Talk to us about your year last year in the crates. Runner up, got a win under your belt. 2022 was the perfect springboard into what you're doing now, correct?
Yeah, no, COVID kind of screwed things up for us along with everyone else in the world, and so when we got into last year, it was go time, and everything was starting to align. I was starting to get a good feel for the car, and we knew what we had to do, and it was just consistency last year. I think I had a lot of top fives, and that's what gets you up there in the championship, is making sure you finish the race. You don't have to win them all, but you got to be there at the end. So
yeah, I think your win, did you pass Bowman for the win that night? I think I remember it, right?
Yeah, Bowman and Lucas that night.
Yeah.
It was a pretty cool night.
Yeah, that's when I really noticed who you were that night for sure. And so, like COVID, you didn't get to race at all, or did you race a few times? Or
we raced a few times on the limited action series races. We toured around a bit, but it wasn't near a full season. So,
yeah,
but kept us moving anyways, and got to see a lot of different tracks. So,
yeah, we got through it.
Yeah, we all somehow pulled it off. That was for us to keep racing alive throughout Southern Ontario. That was a pretty important stretch of time, and obviously last year was a great springboard into going into 360s this year. You came off of a really strong and consistent season, like you say, and so far it seems like from a distance your approach to this 360 thing has been perfect. You were trying to run pretty much every single lap that you possibly can. You've been out to the test and tune nights. Just talk to us about where your confidence level's at early into the 360 gig.
The going out, me and Nathan have talked a lot over the winter, and it was just get seat time at the start, get used to the power, how the car feels and everything, and then the car just feels amazing. They are a whole different animal to drive. To be honest, I find them easier to drive than a crate car. When you start getting loose, there's more horsepower there. You can roll back in the throttle and drive out of it. Where the crate car, you've got it to the floor, and that's all you had. So it's for now, it's just getting my feet wet for the most part and trying to keep the car in one piece, more or less.
Yeah. So you said you guys own Oakward Transport. I see that on a lot of cars. So yeah, tell us about the biz.
So we used to have a shipping container business, and we've since sold that off. And now we're strictly car carriers. We're at about 90 trucks.
Holy!
We run all over Canada, the U.S. We got some new freight and out of the plants and that, and then a lot of used freight just across the border, and it's a lot to handle. Plus, trying to keep race cars going, it's busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are so like heavily involved. Do you think if you hadn't stepped in from the sponsorship side that you could have found yourself back behind the wheel of something, or is this kind of just everything came together because of the sponsorship that you really and investing in the sport?
I think that's a lot of it. It's one of those things I basically totally forgot about racing when we originally quit racing. It's because my brother and I were trying to grow the business with my father as we were getting older, and work consumed our lives. And this is finally, I've just started to take some time to do something I love, and it's amazing when you have a passion, you find more time in the day to get things done. So
it's amazing how that works.
Yeah, it's funny how that works out, and obviously, the one thing too that I have to compliment you guys on with the Oakwood transport cars is you guys have really great branding and really great schemes to your cars. The liveries are always looking sharp. Just talk to us a little bit about the design of your race cars and maybe who does them and how you manage to make something that stands out so well amongst sprint car guys.
The Steve Lyons at Creative Edge, he does all our vinyl work for us, and Nathan Ackland, he's a big part of it. He's a stickler for detail, and we went back and forth with Steve. I'm sure he was pulling our hair out dealing with us, but it's one of those things. We wanted cars that stood out and show our business off for the reason that we're doing this. So
yeah,
so it's sure. Trucker Night Friday. That's your business night. Like you guys, that's your sponsoring the night, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So yeah, tell us about that.
So it's $5 off any truck driver with an AZ or DZ that shows up to general admission, and it's just a thank you for everything that truck drivers do. A lot of the time, they're forgotten in this world. Mm-hmm. Without them, we wouldn't have anything. So it's a little token of our appreciation for them to come out and have a nice night out.
Love it.
Yeah, it's an awesome initiative. So, looking down the road, what can we expect to see from you in the 360 this year, Eric? Is it just Ohsweken stuff? Do you plan to chase the SOS? What's on the calendar so far?
As of now, it's for sure full season at Ohsweken. Gonna do some SOS races, but the engine I ended up buying had 5 nights on it when I got it, so I'm counting nights on it, and we're just gonna pick and choose what SOS we go and run, and then when it gets freshened, then next year we'll see what it brings and try to hit some more tracks. Maybe look for a second engine and be able to run that much more.
You gonna go Saturday to SOMS or what?
I would love to, but it's my daughter's dance recital, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be in a race car if I missed that. So.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You are somebody who has had the chance to tour around. You mentioned your experience with the Action Sprint Tour. Is there any tracks that you've hit besides Ohsweken that you've really enjoyed and maybe you're looking forward to going back into 360 now?
The one of my favorite tracks is Brockville, other than the tire bill leaving there.
Yes.
It destroys tires, but it's a fun, fast racetrack. I also really enjoyed Cornwall, tight, small, but big banking. It's just a beautiful location. The grandstands and everything at Cornwall, it's just a beautiful layout. So
cool.
Those would be two of my more favorite tracks, but Ohsweken is my favorite.
Yeah, that's
you went out east with the second favorites though.
Yeah,
yeah.
I had a lot of fun down there.
Awesome. I've only ran Brockville, and yeah, don't want to go off the top of turn number 1 and 2 though. If you miss that, it is like a super cliff. I've seen some guys miss that and not get it, and it was not pretty. Yeah,
it's a big ride.
Yeah,
and it always seems to rain when we're down there. Every time
it's just because that time of year that we have to go down there. Yeah, I've been there a bunch of times, like in the summer and stuff, and sometimes like if it's just you go like on a normal night, not that end of the year stuff, it's not quite as bad on tires, and it does hold moisture a lot more through the night. But that end of the year thing's definitely tough on tires for sure.
Yeah, you get that many cars out there, it just rubbers down. And...
Yeah. Yep, some of the clay out that way. It's because like around here, that's not quite as not even near as bad as it is out there.
We have like a very unique setup in Southern Ontario. The more interviews we do, the more people we talk to from different racetracks. It just seems like Ohsweken, Merrittville, we all kind of get lucky with the clay and the dirt and everything that's down here.
Especially like tire wear talking, especially, yeah.
So what has been the most difficult part of making the transition between crate and 360 so far for you?
One of the biggest things is when I drove for bars, I was literally a driver. I'd haul the cars to and from the track, but other than that, I didn't have to touch them. And now where we're at, it's amazing how much I'm learning because I am hands-on. I don't have any crew other than the guys that Corey loans me, and so I on shop nights like tonight, I'm busy trying to get the car serviced and make sure nothing's damaged. But it's a whole lot more fun being hands-on, learning about the car and what makes everything do what it does. So.
Okay, so now just talk about your night Friday. We haven't really touched on that at all. Just like your process coming through the gate, drawing the pill, the whole night. Give us it.
Well, it didn't start out very well because I got hung up in traffic. So the 401 was pretty well shut down coming down. And then there was the head-on collision out front, which messed more things up.
I heard about that too.
And so my dad ended up pulling my pill for me, and he pulled a 46, which I knew wouldn't be bad. It'd be middle of the group, whatever. So I think I started 4th in my heat and got a really good start. I was up. Sean Evans got the lead. I got up underneath him, and I overdrove the car going into 1 and got up over the berm and kind of shot myself in the foot. And I ended up 4th. Still, I was happy with it for my first 360 run. And then come feature time, started 13th. And the car was just, for as rough as the track was, it was working. And I just kept picking off spots. And all of a sudden I looked up and I was on the board and thinking, whoa, this is something. And at that point, it was more or less hang on. And afterwards, I was so pumped for my first 360 run to go 13th to 5th. It was a really good night. So.
Yeah. I was pretty impressed with your run, and something I appreciated for pretty much all of you guys who ended up finishing, but for someone with like you who had a little bit of a limited experience, how patient you had to be in that final feature race. Did you feel like you had to be patient behind the wheel of that race car, or was it one of those things where it kind of naturally played itself out?
It felt pretty natural for what it was. To be honest, I've got so much going through my head right now with how much more things there are to watch in the 360 and pay attention to that it's kind of a blur, to be honest, right now. I come back in and they ask, what's the car need? And it takes me a couple minutes to process what the car was doing, and that it's just going to come with time and experience in the car that what I need, and from there on.
Yeah. Well, you got your buddy down here, TC, to come and ask if you need any advice in the 360s.
I've been racing over a decade, and I still friggin' exactly what he said sometimes. It's just what he said now. That still goes through my brain.
It's just a blur, for you guys?
Yeah. He's got the last year's champ as his teammate, finished right behind him this week.
That, to be honest, it is one of the biggest things I have in my pocket right now is having Corey. He's amazing. He's awesome help. He's willing to help me with anything I need. I got a question on setup. I got a question on how I should be driving. He's an open book for me. It's huge help. I wouldn't be where I am without the people behind me right now. So
yeah, you still got to drive it though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, yep. And you're doing a good job of it so far. Eric, I know it's a shop night. I know you're a busy guy, so we'll get you out of here on this one. This is kind of the question we ask everyone here before they end off. And I'm going to give you one race car, one racetrack to drive at for the rest of your life. Just one. You can't. It can be something you have driven before, something you've never driven to, but always wanted to. Whatever combination of car and track you want to pick, will make happen in Fantasyland.
I'd say a 410 around Eldora or Charlotte. I don't know which one I'd rather be at, but it's definitely got to be a 410 sprint car and one of the big tracks just for the speed.
Yep.
Good pick.
I'm right with you on that one.
I think Charlotte gets slept on with that answer. A lot of people always go Eldora, but not as many people answer Charlotte, and I personally love Charlotte as a dirt track. So
it's fast as hell too.
Yeah, it's an absolute super fast place. Eric, thanks so much for coming on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show. Good luck the rest of the way in 2023. Keep up the great work and the progress in the 360s. It's going to be fun to watch it all season long.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you guys having me on here. That's awesome.
Yeah, there he is. Eric Gledhill on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show presented by Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Like what you hear? Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track. And the